Tim Panasic for Gibbons Motor Toys. Today we're going to show you the 2023 Stabicraft 2050 Supercab. So this is a redesigned hull for this year, and this particular boat that we're showing you is a demo boat that I just actually got back from Alaska with. So we'll talk about that while we're doing the video. That's why there's a rock guard on here, and I'll kind of let you know as we go along what options we've added to this. This has got the upgraded 4,000-pound aluminum channel trailer, and I gotta say, it fits the boat like a glove. It towed all the way up there and back really, really well. Handles, loads, unloads. I can't say anything negative about the trailer. It works very well. You can see that, you know, after 4,500 kilometers, there's really hardly a mark on the boat. There might be just the odd little chip here, but it's so minimal that I feel that we're well protected, and the boat sits up high enough on the trailer that with the rock guard it's well protected. This has got the optional drum winch in the front there with a Sarka 3 anchor. That worked really good. We were anchored for a hell of a bit. We were in some rough weather conditions a lot of the times, and that worked extremely well. As we look at the hull of the 2050, the biggest thing is, and this applies to all Stabicraft boats, if you look at, you know, just the sheer design of the chambered hull and how, you know, where the bump rails are here and how this hull deflects the water away from the boat. When you look at these reverse chines, they are extremely unique. And this is what makes a Stabicraft. And I can tell you from personal experience now, we had a heck of a load. We had 6 people. All our gear, bags, coolers, you know, all our fishing gear, we were loaded quite heavy, and went from Skagway to Hoona, which is about 110 miles, got just under 4 miles to the gallon. And when we got into any kind of rough water, the smoothness and the way that the boat blew the water away from the boat versus being wet was very impressive. The other thing that was very impressive as you look around the hull, and we can look at the stern here, you can look at the dead rise, you can see the design of what they've done here. But we literally got up on step with that load in the boat, almost the same as when the boat's empty. I was so impressed where you can just feather the throttle, there's virtually no bow rise, and you're up on step. In rough water conditions, you could be as slow as 12, 15 miles an hour. It'll stay up on step and still give you reasonable fuel economy. And speaking of fuel economy, our whole trip, we averaged just under 4 miles to the gallon. And that's in all conditions with the load, you know, through our day trips and everything. That, in my opinion, is very impressive for the conditions we were in and the load we were carrying. When you look at the back of the Transom, you might be able to see it better on this side without the kicker. And so what we've got on here as well is we've got the 3D transducer for the Go 12. We've got a fish hawk on here, which is the transducer on the port side. A fish hawk is probably going to be new to a lot of people. What that does is it's a Bluetooth device that goes on the end of your downrigger. So it actually tells you the depth of the water as well as your counter on the downrigger. But most importantly, it's telling you the temperature of the water at that level that you're fishing, as well as the speed that your lure is moving through the water, and compares it to the speed on the surface. So that's kind of cool. If you look at the Game Changer Transom here, the way that this is, you see the way that you got this angle in the back of the boat here? When you're backing, what this allows you to do is to back up almost as good in reverse as you're going forward. I should also explain what all these drain plugs are. So what you've got is you've got a drain plug here, here, and here. Those are for your air chambers. So best practice is you always just leave them out, and you put them in obviously before you launch the boat. And then this here is actually your drain plug to the bilge. So you really only have one small bilge pump, and we're going to talk about that more when we get to the interior, because that's an important feature as well. Backing up, just to elaborate on that, I wouldn't have personally believed it, but 6-foot waves. Wind was howling. It was howling enough that somebody loses their hat. Our gear was up, so I thought, well, we'll back up and see if we can get to it. No exaggeration, 5.5, 6-foot waves. You got the ocean swell, you got white caps, you got the wind howling right back at you. We were able to actually back up, retrieve that hat without getting any water in the boat. I don't know of any other boat that would do that. basically the stern of the boat would just ride the wave up and down, and it was really almost the same as going forward. So that was extremely impressive. The other thing that really I had my opinion about, but never really seen it for myself until this trip. But my sister-in-law, who would normally get seasick quite easily, especially when we're fishing all day, 6-foot seas. We were out there for the whole day, and again, typically an hour in, there's going to be gravel happening or something. She was good all day. So the stability of the boat, I can't overemphasize that enough. This 20-foot boat is as stable as much, much larger boats. So we were able to stay out there all day, everybody comfortable, no nausea, no sickness, and we were able to fish all day. To me, that was a big deal. Like every Stabicraft, these ladders are awesome. They're so solid, so rigid. When you're on the trailer, it's just so easy to get in and out of the boat. You got a grab handle here. This is painted in powder coat. Same with the rails on the sides here. If you look at the cleats, the machined cleats, the workmanship here. This has got the optional U-deck on the gunnels, and we'll talk about that more as well as I hop inside here. Okay, starting with the transom of this boat, basically what we have here is this is what's called a US style fish box. So what you got here is a very large fish box. I've got our line puller here. That's part of the package with our demo boat that'll go with it. We've also got the my wedges for when you're trailing, both one for the main engine and one for the kicker. This has got, we've added dual batteries. So we've got both the crank battery and a deep cycle house battery. We've got 2 speakers in there as well that we fit. We've got the BEP battery switches here. And of course, you got the flip down seat, which are nice. The BEP battery switches are great. Basically, when they're off, everything's off other than your bilge pump. You've got an emergency parallel. If your crank battery goes dead, you can put the emergency parallel, use the house battery to start the big motor. Lots of redundancy on this boat. If everything goes dead and you have an electrical problem, you've still got a pull start on your kicker as well, which will charge the batteries. So lots of redundancy. This is the breaker for the drum winch up in the bow. This has got the optional wash down water hose there. The U-deck we talked about. One thing that we really enjoyed with the boat was these wide gunnels. And again, that's on a Stabicraft boat. You could sit up here very comfortably. It's basically, you got seats all over the boat. You can sit anywhere you want here. This has got the optional drop and side curtains. On nice weather, if this is down, you can totally sit back on this gunnel. You can actually lay right up against here, whether you're fishing, sun lounging, whatever you're doing. It's a very comfortable position, so lots of usable space with the gunnels, as well as having the wide gunnels that are practical from that standpoint. Look at the storage you got in there. We were able to pack a pile of gear in those gunnels. And while we're talking about the gunnels, maybe what we'll do is just flow forward here. So you got another section of the gunnel up here, and this area here is going to stay dry. Then you've got more storage here on the sides, more storage here on the sides. You've got storage up here all the way around. We are able to pack a tremendous amount of gear in here. And then when you look towards the bow, look at your storage there. It wraps all the way around right to the bow on both sides. And that's all dry storage. So we got a humongous amount of storage in here. You look at the roof of the boat, you got a hand hold here. We've got 2 more speakers in the roof here. We've got interior lighting above there. There's also interior lighting in the gunnels right here, which you may not see. You've got the steps here for getting up and down the gunnels here. So that makes it really easy to get up here, get at your rods. Rod holders. You've got a plethora of rod holders. You got 2, 4, 6, 8, and 6, 14, 16 rod holders in this boat, if you look at the 2 on the fish box as well. The other thing that, this is a little bit out of the ordinary, but what I did is I actually got a 4-foot piece of wood dowel, 1.5 inches, cut it in half, put a hook on each end. So I had 2 4-foot pieces here. And then I would just put a ratchet strap basically from here to the hard top. And then I was able to put a tarp on that. So if we want to process, clean fish or anything in the rain, it was a really quick, easy cover that was really easy to utilize here. The power on this boat we didn't talk about. Typically, this 20-foot boat is either going to have a 150 or a 175. We had the 175, so those performance specs I was giving you was with the 175. The 150 is not going to be far off. That's a 15 horsepower kicker. You can see we got heavy-duty stainless steel tie bar. This has got hydraulic steering. This system worked flawless, worked really, really well. Moving forward in the boat, you can see we've got the drop curtain rolled up here in the center. We've got 2 chili bins, as they call them in New Zealand. And I can tell you from experience now, we were at, when we stayed in Hoona, they had a packing plant there, a fish processing plant. They had shaved ice. We would put shaved ice in those things and basically a half a pail of ice. And in 24 hours, we might get a liter of water. They just really hold the ice well. So can't say enough good things about those. It's nice that they're removable. The other thing that we can point out here is that this boat will come with, this particular boat's going to be all set up for both prawn and crab. So all the traps and pullers and everything you need are basically in both these chili bins. The seats in here, this has got the bolster seats. That I personally really enjoyed. So when you're cruising, basically, I put my feet here, sit up on the bolster. I've got a really good vision here. I'm sitting up nice and high, and it's totally comfortable. I was able to, do those 110-mile runs and not feel at all fatigued. You can flip the bolster down. You can sit down if you like. The seats are adjustable fore and aft, both the passenger and the driver. So that was really good. In lots of cases, when the water was rough, we'd have somebody in that seat, another person sitting up here. Everybody was able to be in the cab where it was comfortable. You could see that there's optional cushions up front there. And again, the amount of storage, like we had, this whole front of this boat was just filled with all our personal gear and everything. And everything was dry and out of the way, and it was a really comfortable experience. We got a stereo here. We got a 12-volt USB charge plugs for your phones. The way the switches engages the radio. This is the fish hawk I mentioned. We've got our vessel view here. We've got the Go 12. This is the eye control for the kicker. This is for the stereo system, lights on the speakers. Again, more storage space here. Wallet, cell phone. And I just found having all this storage at my disposal right here. This is where I would keep, the stuff that I would use all the time through the course of the day. It was just a very, very comfortable boat to be in for the 5 days we were out there. Another important feature that we found using it in its practical format when you got, halibut on the floor here and fish making a mess is that you could see the air chambers here on the sides. The U-deck, as we talked about, is just very comfortable, a nice product, easy to clean. The beauty of this, though, is that when we use the wash down all our debris here, where all this goes, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see in there, but basically this is all flat, other than right in the center. We're going to show you this better on the outside, but basically what we have is just one small sump in the center. And on that note, you can see how that all works from the inside. Now we'll go to the outside and we'll show you how you can access that. Another nice feature with the walkthrough is that, when you're out in the ocean, we were using this in the rough water. If you're not in rough water, this just comes out and it makes for a nice clean walkway. So access to that sump that I was telling you, these are really slick. Stabicraft uses this on all their boats. So basically you just loosen that off. You can see how simple of a device this is. It's got a rubber O-ring around here, so it seals perfectly. And there's how easily it comes off. Now, I don't know if you can see right down in here or not, but basically what you got is you got an automatic bilge pump, and that is it. So basically, all your debris, all your fish slime, whatever it may be, is going to gather right there in that one small area. So very, very easy to get at. The bilge pump did a great job of getting rid of all our debris. If you ever have anything that clogs it up or anything, the pump's got 2 plastic clips. You just pop them up, and you can take the pump, and there's basically I don't know how you describe it, but there's just a cover on it that you just give it a half a turn, it comes off, and any debris or anything in there, you just throw it out and away you go. So at the end of the day, we had no smell in our boat at all, and that's another important feature. In closing, you know, who is this boat meant for? Really, and who isn't it meant for? I would say that the only person this boat may not be meant for would be a tournament walleye fisherman or a bass fisherman. Obviously, you're not fishing off the bow of this boat. But virtually any other type of fishing, cruising, pleasure boating, if you want a safe boat that's going to give you the safety of a boat that's much larger than the 20-foot boat that it is, this is going to work in almost all applications, whether we're talking West Coast, East Coast, Great Lakes. But the same thing goes with small lakes. You know, you're going to get this in a small lake on a boat launch with minimal water, just like you would any other boat. So at the end of the day, it's going to apply to a really wide variety of people. Even in hot climates, you got a bow hatch in the front that we didn't really show you, but there's a large bow hatch. You got the side windows. Those curtains can come off. You're going to have lots of air coming through the boat. You got great visibility. You know, to walk around to the front of the boat, you got the big heavy-duty bow rail there. You got accessibility to the roof. The U-deck goes all the way around the gunnel to the front. We didn't really show you when we were up there, but you can probably see that from that angle. The visibility, the glass, the sight lines, the windshield wiper, all that works really well. So whether you're in a wet climate, a cool climate, a warm climate, if you want a safe boat for big water, this would be it. Or any boat in this size segment. I guess really we can say that for all Stabicraft boats, because even if it's a 14-foot boat, we'll talk about those on those videos, but all these boats are really overachievers when it comes to safety on rough water. Hopefully this video taught you a little bit more about the 2050 Stabicraft, and watch us for more videos like this, please.